Abilities are the... Wait, you probably know what I'm gonna say. This is my 9th time doing it. Today, we'll be looking at an ability that has a subtle yet impactful change on every game it's in. Hey, I'm Evie, a longtime Splatoon player yada yada yada, and welcome to the 9th video in the history of Splatoon abilities. Today, we'll be taking a look at Special Saver. If you like this type of content, or more surrounding the Splatoon series, you should subscribe, as only a small percentage of my viewers are subscribed. Actually, you should just subscribe right now, as I have a playlist of more of these types of videos. You can also become a channel member to get sneak peeks at upcoming videos and exclusive emotes when going live. Alright, let's get into the ability. Special Saver is a stackable ability introduced in Splatoon. It reduces the amount of special you lose each time you get splatted. Special Saver is favored by Zekko and unfavored by Scallop, making it 5 times more likely and less likely to be rolled on a piece of gear respectively. At the start of Splatoon, whenever you got splatted, you would lose 50% of your current special charge. Special Saver is useful for weapons that fight and die a lot, or weapons that have trouble painting and getting their special, allowing you to output your special more. This was even more impactful because in version 2.0.0 and version 2.2.0, many of the specials got their points for special changed, because in Splatoon 1, points for special were based on the special weapon instead of the weapon kit. Again, not a change to the ability directly, but in version 2.7.0, all weapons got a new stat, Special Depletion. This determined the percentage of your special lost when getting splatted. Lightweight weapons lost 40%, medium weapons lost 60%, and heavy weapons lost 75% of their special. The amount of special saved the ability granted was a flat rate, regardless of the type of depletion or amount of points per special. This made Special Saver great on the special that had high points for special and or medium/heavy special depletion. So weapons like Tenatech Splattershot, who needed 220 points for their Inkzooka, on top of losing 75% of it if they died, loved using a little bit of Special Saver because that didn't mean deaths were extremely punishing. Though for most weapons that wanted higher special output, special charge is usually preferred. There's a good chunk of weapons that stay back and don't die too much, or weapons that can already paint well who would rather use the gear space for something else. And in an optimal world, Special Saver wouldn't be needed as you wouldn't die enough to see the effects, while Special Charge could help you snowball. Though, in reality, Special Saver was still useful on weapons like blasters and rollers, weapons that don't paint well and die a lot. While not too viable, running enough Special Saver can allow you to save 100% of your special after death, and you could use it immediately after respawning. In Splatoon 1, lightweight weapons only need 1 main and 8 subs, or 34 AP of Special Saver in order to keep all of their special upon death, but it's impossible for medium and heavy special depletion weapons to keep 100% of their special, even when stacked to the maximum. But that's how Special Saver was left off in Splatoon. It didn't show up too much, and if it did, you usually wouldn't see more than a main slot of it, since the returns after that weren't as good, and it would be better to run other abilities. But luckily for it, the ability returned in Splatoon 2. In the transition to Splatoon 2, many surroundings have changed. First off, it is now unfavored by Anaki, making it 5 times less likely to roll on a piece of gear, in addition to also not being favored by Scallop. Secondly, special depletion no longer exists, and every weapon loses 50% of their special upon death, with points for special being manually assigned for each weapon kit. Finally, Respawn Punisher, which affects the amount of special lost by the user and target. And Special Saver can negate the amount of special lost from a Respawn Punisher, and weapons that value their special sometimes would sacrifice some gear in order to fit in some Special Saver. But in version 1.4.0, Respawn Punisher's Special Saver penalty tripled for the user and target, needing more Special Saver to negate it. Respawn Punisher wasn't seen too much, so you never wore Special Saver in response to it, more of a nice bonus if you encounter it. But in version 3.0.0 on April 25th, 2018, Special Saver got its first balance change, making it more efficient when used in lower quantities while keeping the maximum effect the same. The ability started to gain use after this change, as before the patch, 1 sub saved you around an extra 5%, but now 1 sub saves you about 9%. Now lots of players started using 1 or 2 subs as the returns were good in low amounts. The community calls subs like these utility subs, sub-abilities that are generally good on most things and have good returns for only 1 or 2 subs. Now, more weapons started to run the ability, even ones that didn't really die too much, just because their returns were good for one sub. Some weapons like E-Liter and Hydra Splatling didn't really use it, as they still died too infrequently to see consistent use, but for most frontline, midlines, and even some backlines, they really appreciated it. Along with the change in 3.0.0, Haunt also got the benefits of Respawn Punisher when active, and Special Saver also negates it, bringing more value to the ability in more cases. One final change surrounding the ability was in 4.1.0. Splashdown now only loses 25% of the special when getting shot out of the sky. If you wear 5 subs of Special Saver and die in a splashdown, you lose none of it. It's funny to use, but it's not really that useful. Though for Splatoon 2, and spoilers Splatoon 3, you need a full 3 mains and 9 subs, or 57 AP in order to save 100% of your special. It's definitely not worth it, because even running 2 mains can save you a massive amount, but it's there if you so choose. But that is how Special Saver was left in Splatoon 2. It got buffed and saw a lot more usage, but it also felt like the game's surroundings impacted it a ton, as the change of universal mechanics and interactions with other abilities and specials. And like abilities that have appeared twice before, it's going for a three-peat in Splatoon 3. Not much changed when being brought into Splatoon 3. It still worked against Respawn Punisher and Haunt, and was still run on quite a few weapons that valued their special. But the special of Tacticooler also maxed out your Special Saver when it was active, making the ability useless if you die with a Tacticooler. In version 3.0.0, during the Fresh Season 2023, a new gear brand was introduced, Z+F, and this brand favored Special Saver when rolling gear, giving it 5 times more likely chance to roll it when leveling up the gear piece. There's a trend with these changes. None of them are direct. Like in version 2.1.0, where Tacticooler got buffed to no longer get affected by Respawn Punisher. So here you have this special that gives you maximum Special Saver. Tacticooler only became more prominent with time, and pushed Special Saver to the side for a bit. Why would you need to run a gear ability when you have this really spammable special that gives it to you and your whole team for free, even if the output of the special got nerfed later on? But people realized pretty quickly, oh wait, this ability is still really good. Just because Cooler is really good, that doesn't mean every death you'll have the effect, and it still helps more aggressive weapons like Dynamo Roller and Tri-Slosher Nouveau, who need to supply their team with the Tacticooler. On top of the ability really only needing 1 sub to get good effects. So yeah, even after a dip in usage, Special Saver is still pretty common, even though at the time of writing, Tacticooler is still the best special in the game. The weapons in Splatoon 2 and 3 that like using Special Saver are very similar to the ones in Splatoon 1. Poor painting, fighting weapons like blasters and rollers, on top of weapons that go in and die a lot, like Octobrush, Splooshomatic, Splattershot, Charcoal Decapitator, and other shorter to mid-range weapons. It's also good to keep consistent use of valuable specials, such as Tacticooler, Tentamissiles, or Trizooka, but it still sees some use on specials that go in and die during their use, such as Zipcaster, Triple Splashdown, and Ultra Stamp. But after only one balance change ever, that was the history of Special Saver in Splatoon. Ever since that change in Splatoon 2, it's seen a lot of usage, but never overwhelming, and was more defined by the outside environment than the direct impacts it brought. But before we go, I have a few more things to go over. The icon has remained the same across all 3 games, a squid with a halo next to the special gauge, showing it lost less when it died. The beta icon is even very similar to the final one, just looks a bit less cleaned up. In Splatoon 3, since it's a stackable ability, it takes 45 chunks of Special Saver to replace a main ability on a piece of gear. Last time, at the end of one of these videos, I asked you if you can comment a crazy balance change the ability had to throw off people who didn't watch till the end. Here's some of my favorites from last time. I want to say thank you for watching. That was a bit of a shorter video than usual. I did see the winner of last fall. Comeback will get its time, I just don't know when. One more video to wrap up the year. I usually don't reveal what I have ahead of time, but since you made it to the end of the video, I'll let you know. The next video in the series is the history of Splatoon 2 abilities, and I think everyone will be looking forward to that. I do want to say thank you for supporting me. Make sure you're subscribed if you aren't already, or become a channel member if you really like my content. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.